Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best Malzeno weapons guide, the new Dragon Meta. This video analyzes the weapons of the new Elder Dragon of Season 7. The Malzeno weapons are dragon weapons, and Malzeno has the most powerful offensive dragon elemental skill in the game. Combine that with the super cool vampiric dragon of destruction that manipulates Curio to take your souls and everybody before you, and possibly your potions and my potions as well. It is going to come into the game, and it is a very welcome meta addition to the dragon element. But first, we have the list of Malzeno weapons. And here's a note, the weapon must be at grade 8 to obtain its weapon skills. For the sword and shield, you have the Bloodlust Blade. Why are all these names super cool? I don't know, but I love it. For the greatsword, you have the Decapitator Schneiden. For the longsword, you have the ever so cool Fissure Force. Does this actually like shoot an earthquake when you like hit it to the ground? While we have the hammer, the Tooth Grinder, which means you're going to be breaking the face of a lot of dragons or monsters and yeah, breaking their teeth. For the dual blades, you have the Bloody Nails One Day. I'm not sure what one day means. If you're German, please let me know in the comments. As we move on to the lance, which is the Masked Layer, or Masked Layer. And for the charge blade, we have the Blood Eagle Adler, with the gun lance being the Scorch Schneiden. And the switch axe, which is the Fracturing Falter, which that's a very interesting name in comparison to the rest. Next up, we have the bow, which is the Ravenous Vampire. Super cool name and extremely eloquent design. The light bowgun, which is the Vigil Kugel. I think I said that right, hopefully. The heavy bowgun, which is the Chalice of Desire. Literally the only one I could probably pronounce correctly. And last but not least, we have the hunting horn, which is the Magician's Allure. And if you want to forge these powerful weapons, here's the Malzeno weapon forge stats and cost. So Malzeno weapons start at grade 6, with their element of course being dragon. Their base raw attack is 433, and their base elemental attack is 334. With a base affinity of 0%. So unfortunately they don't have positive or negative crit, but that's okay. And here's the thing. The Malzeno weapons will have a high elemental attack when you max it out. So while the raw is high right now in comparison to the element, it's going to flip upside down as soon as you max it. And this brings us to the Malzeno at grade 10 and max stats and requirements. As you see right here, the max raw attack is 1,444 and the max elemental attack is 1,622. With a max affinity of unfortunately 0%, which means there's no positive or negative, which is good. And as you see here, like I mentioned, the elemental attack is higher than the raw value. By a lot, by the way. This is actually the opposite when it comes to Nier Gigante. Nier Gigante has high raw and lower elemental, while Malzeno flips this completely upside down. However, if you want to build and max out these weapons, you're gonna need the Malzeno Horn, as Malzeno have their own unique rarity 6, pretty standard for every Elder Dragon, and in addition you'll also need 25 weapon refining parts and 420,000 Zeni. That is a very magical number, by the way, I approve. And from personal experience, assuming you're doubling / tripling your rarity 6, this can take you 100 plus Malzeno. In addition, you will also need to double / triple your rarity 5 tails, or you're going to have a very long grind session ahead of you. That's because everyone that knows and has maxed all the dragon weapons, as me as the only one that's done as the English YouTubers, and the top ones as well, it's not the rarity 6s that are your biggest problem. It's the rarity 5. And most of the time, if not all of them, are all tails. And this moves us on to the content you've been waiting for. Here is the data comparison. We're going to start off with melee for Malzeno, and here we compare the max damage of Malzeno melee weapons versus the top dragon monster types as of Season 7. Per the data, Nier Gigante is the strongest by less than 1%. However, this isn't taking into account Vital Dragon, where Malzeno would be the strongest. You pop my Vital Dragon into this stat, and bam, it will overtake everyone else as far as damage. However, Ebony Odogaron and Devil Joe aren't actually too far behind at about 4 to 6%. So it's actually not that bad. That's actually a pretty close difference. But again, those two aren't too far behind. But if you're looking for the strongest of the strongest damage-wise, it's definitely Malzeno, if you're looking at without the weapon, looking at the weapon skill, it is near Gigante. And now that we've gone over melee, we now have range, starting off with a bow, and here we have the Malzeno bow damage comparison, as we compare the max damage of Malzeno bow versus the top dragon monsters of Season 7. And per the data, the near Gigante bow is the strongest when we don't take the weapon skill into account again. And here's a very interesting thing, when it just comes to stat value, Malzeno and Gold Rathian actually have the same total stat value. However, again, when you take in Malzeno's Vital Dragon into account, it will beat out everyone in terms of damage. However, it's important to note that near Gigante, Malzeno, and Gold Rathian are all super bows with a charge 3 to damage 4 arrow set, making that top 3 extremely powerful. So even if you don't want to build the Malzeno bows, especially when it comes to the bow, as long as you have one of those top 3 at max, you have an incredibly powerful weapon and the strongest one of its kind whenever it comes to just overall the dragon element. In other words, super bows are some of the strongest weapons in the game, with very few exceptions being able to defeat them. Now that we've done the bow, now we have the Malzeno bowgun's damage comparison. We have the light and the heavy bowgun as we compare the max damage of Malzeno bowgun weapons versus the top dragon monster types as of Season 7. Here's a note again. For the 13th time, or the upteenth time, Malzeno will beat everything else when you take the skill into account because it has Vital Dragon. For light bowgun and heavy bowgun, damage-wise, near Gigante wins without taking that equipment skill into account. However, if you want to take a look at something cool for bowguns, Malzeno's light bowgun actually only needs 1 reload speed level. While you still have the max reload recoil down 3, it's insane that you only need 1, which means you can put a lot more other skills into it to make the Malzeno light bowgun extremely powerful. This makes it the best dragon light bowgun in the game when it releases, not taking style changes or anything else into account. Alright, now that we covered all that nonsense, here we go. We have the Malzeno ranged weapon ammo analysis, as we analyze the ammo of the Malzeno ranged weapons. For the light bowgun, the double piercing ammo is insane. Only needing reload speed 1 is a huge plus as well. Now seriously, it's pretty nuts. After you clear the dragon ammo, you have 7 sets of piercing ammo to just blast everything to death in front of you. In addition, for the heavy bowgun, it has the standard sticking and slicing, set to stun, and slice tails. Nothing really special, unfortunately, about the Chalice of Desire. It's just pretty standard for heavy bowgun. Still does heavy damage, by the way. Don't underestimate it. It is very powerful, with 4 sticky ammo and 4 dragon slicing ammo. And for the bow, of course, Malzeno is a super bow with a charge 3 to damage 4 arrow set. If you look at this is basically the dragon version of Black Diablos bow. Despite this, it is still insanely powerful, and everybody knows if you have the Black Diablos bow maxed out, which if you don't have it by now, I don't know what to tell you. Unless you're a newer player, you have an excuse. It's the best one in the game, and you should have it. And based on the Monster Hunter Now anniversary data, the Black Diablos bow is the best one. It was, in fact, my first 10.5 weapon when it first came out. Speaking of 10.5 weapon, which I'm very familiar with, and some of you guys are too. Unfortunately, not all of everyone is, but that's okay. But the reason why you want to 10.5 this is because of the weapon skill for Malzeno. The weapon skill of the Malzeno weapons is Vital Dragon +1. Combined with one of the Malzeno armor pieces, you can max this out easily at level 3. In addition, Malzeno weapons are Elder Dragon weapons, which have Hunter's Unity. This is pretty standard for all Elder Dragon weapons. Nothing fancy, it's Hunter's Unity. But yes, this one skill alone makes this thing insanely nuts and insanely powerful. Meaning, even if you do have near Gigante, like me, maxed out, just for the damage capability, if I'm looking at clear damage and I don't want to break parts, etc., or anything else, I'm definitely going after a Malzeno weapon. In addition, we have the Malzeno shelling, files, etc. analysis. Now, the gun lance has long shelling. This makes it the perfect combination for charge shelling and worm stake shot. Fun fact, in the Monster Hunter Now 2 second year anniversary data, literally 2 of those, I think, no, actually 3 of them were actually long shelling style gun lances. So yes, long shelling is good. Anybody that tells you isn't, they have no idea what they're talking about, and you shouldn't listen to them. The charge blade has impact files, allowing you to stun, and is pretty standard, while the switch axe has power files, increasing your damage. And the hunting horn has an insanely good melody set. In fact, this makes it one of the best offensive hunting horns in the game. It's totally worth building. Usually the hunting horn gets a bad rep, and there's only a select few that are actually really good. This is one of the select few, in addition to the new set, that is very good. Which brings us to the Malzeno weapons overall analysis. As we just saw, all this data and everything, it supports that the Malzeno weapons are totally worth going after and building. It actually becomes the strongest dragon archetype damage-wise, and it can rival it rivals Near Gigante. Not can, it does rival Near Gigante. For those of you that do have Near Gigante weapons, you're like, I'm going to go over that in a bit. But the weapon skill alone, and the weapon skill alone is literally why it's so powerful damage-wise. And if you just look at the weapon designs, these are some of the coolest in the entire game. When I played them in Rise, and I built my first one, it was the Bloody Nails one day. I was like, holy mother of Fatalis, these things are cool. So yes, you want the cool factor? This is something you definitely want to look into. But in addition, I really do hope that this video does help you out with what Malzeno weapon you want to build. I'll be doing a video to compare the Malzeno bow versus a Near Gigante bow. And here's the thing. I know a lot of y'all are angry if you did max out and build a Near Gigante weapon. Here's the thing. Both of them are pretty even when you take the Vital Dragon skill into account. So if you already have a Near Gigante weapon, it's not a must to build a Malzeno weapon. If anything, the armor is more important than a weapon, honestly, if you are trying to decide between one or the other. For me, why not one or the other? Why not both? So I'm going to be going after this one. I'll be slaying a bunch of Vampiric Dragons, so if you see me in that lobby, shout me out. I will appreciate you. I do appreciate all of you, and it is a huge honor to do so. Well, for those of you that like me, for those that don't like me, I will kick you out of my lobby, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. With that being said, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Again, good luck on your grinds. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic grind, and you all are excited to take on Malzeno, and I will see y'all on the next video.